Alright folks, the purpose of this video is to take a look at how we can take output from SPSS and transfer it over into Excel. Doing that not only allows us to have much more aesthetically pleasing charts and data that we can manipulate very quickly given Excel's many functions, but it also allows us to condense data that if it was presented in SPSS would require us to do multiple charts when what we want to do is put our data into one chart so we can easily compare things. In an example that I'm going to use, we're going to look at people who voted for Trump, the percentage of people who voted for Trump, and what we want to do is we want to compare men and women, and we also want to compare people, or rather the percentage of Republicans that voted for Trump versus the percentage of Democrats. The first comparison that we're going to make is going to ask us to compare the share of women and the share of men, and in order to do that, the fastest way for me to generate the data that I'm going to need is going to be to split the data set by gender. So I'm going to go up here to Data, I'm going to go down to Split File, and I'm going to select that option, and I'm going to compare groups. And because I want to compare men versus women, I'm going to go ahead and select that male variable. So we're going to compare people who are 1 male versus 0 who are not male. So go ahead and run that. And from here on out, SPSS, until I change that setting, is going to generate all statistics, one set for men, followed immediately by one set for women. So let's go ahead and analyze the percentage of people who supported Trump. So I'm going to go to Descriptive Statistics, I'm going to go over to Frequencies. And what I want to do is I want to select whether or not they voted for Trump or not. And we're going to go ahead and go yes here. Now, because I want to show you why it's more efficient to do this in Excel, at least in terms of presentation, I am going to go ahead and create a chart in this case so you can see what the SPSS output would look like. And I want a bar chart, and I don't want the counts, which is what I would get with frequency, but instead I want the percentage of each group that voted for Trump. So we're selecting the percentages option, and we'll hit continue, and we hit OK. And what do we find? We find among females, it looks like about 38% or so voted for Trump. And if we skip over to males, it also, again, here male is male, equals about 38%. Look at that chart. It's hard to compare them. We got two charts. They're big. They're not attractive. So what can we do? Let's go up and let's take a look at the data. And up at the data we see it was actually 35% that voted for Trump among women, and among men it turned out that 41% voted for Trump. So over here I've opened up Excel, and let's begin our data. And here we want vote for Trump. Maybe we'll just say Trump, and we'll do non-Trump. And in our first example, we're going to do men versus women. And I'll go ahead and plug that data in. And so the percentage, actually, you know what? I don't want the non-Trump on there, and I'll show you why that is in a second. Because what we really want is the percentage of men who voted for Trump versus the percentage of women who voted for Trump. And so in our first example, the percentage of, get that over so you can see it, women who voted for Trump was approximately 35.4%. Go back and eyeball it and make sure that I didn't type wrong. I want the valid percent, so this is the one that I should be doing. And now among men, it's 41.1%. Alright, that's the data that I needed to compare men versus women, but I'm also going to want to compare Democrats versus Republicans. And in order to do that, I've got to go back and change my data so that instead of comparing men versus women, we compare Republicans. And I said Democrats, but it's really non-Republicans. So Republicans versus non-Republicans, so the independents will be thrown in that. I'm going to hit OK. And now it lets me know that it's sorting cases by whether or not you're a Republican or not. And I'm going to go ahead and rerun my frequencies. And so we drop down to Descriptive Statistics, Frequencies, and voting for Trump is still the same. And we're going to hit OK. Now, among the non-Republicans, 21% voted for Trump. Among the, remember that includes independents in case you're thinking that's high. And among Republicans, 85% voted for Trump. So over here I'm going to do 85%, and it's 85.0, so we'll put that in. This says Democrats. That's wrong. That should be non-Republicans. All right. And among non-Republicans, the percentage that voted for Trump was about 21.1%. There we go. We've got all of that. So just as a reminder, we've now created 4 charts. And as you can imagine, that would be a big mess if you were trying to show people your data up on a chart. Pop out of here, pull this over here, and get this out of the way. We're now in a position where we can go ahead and make the table that we want in Excel. And what I'm going to do here, because I've got data for men and data for women, but this is really about gender, I'm going to go ahead and create this here so that I'll get a label in the table. I want these cells combined to let us know that everything under these cells refers to gender. So here, this is the merge and center option. I'm going to type in gender. Merge and center. Over here, I'm going to type in partisanship. So we've taken our basic data. I've got us grouped under the big category. Then I've got my category for men, for women, big category. Here we've got it also grouped. So now let's go ahead and make a table. And this is the cool thing about Excel is it's pretty straightforward. In fact, I'm just going to have voted for Trump. There we go. Okay. So I select this, just get the area that I need in the chart, and I'm going to go to Insert. I want a bar chart, and I could do this option, or I could do this option. They're both bar charts going in different directions. If I choose this one, it's going to run gender down the side, running out. If I choose this one, it's going to go up and down, giving us men versus women across. Let's just see what the first one looks like. We can always go back and change this if we want to. We select the data, 2D columns. Here we go. Voted for Trump. I've got my percentages over here. I've got the percentage of men, of women, non-Republicans, and Republicans. Note, and this is important, what we've done is we've taken 4 tables and we've condensed those 4 tables into a single, nice, aesthetically pleasing table where we can compare the different groups and the percentages that voted for Trump. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is go ahead and add an axis title over here, right? Because it doesn't say that it's percentages, and we're going to need that. If we want to add, for example, a title down here under the axis, we could do groups. Don't need to do that. That's all intuitive. But here to add a axis label, we're going to need to go up to nothing. First of all, I got to click on the chart. Once I click on the chart, so let me double click it here. Then I can go up and add a chart element. And in this case, I want to go ahead and axis title. And here I want this to be the title to the primary vertical of this. And so we will go ahead and type this in here. And type in percentage. Support or percentage Trump vote or something like that. So that's nice and intuitive. So our chart is looking good. We'll get rid of this noise over here now. We could almost screen capture that. Does everything look good? I think so, but one of the things that we might want to do here is we get to choose what percentages or what range this variable is. In this particular case, we might want to change that. Let's just say that because 100% was the true maximum, we add 100%. Sometimes if it had a really high value to begin with, we might want to make it smaller so it didn't take up much space. But let's go ahead and do that. And then boom, did you see how this shifted across the bottom? So what I've done is I've shown you how to create a chart that took 1, 2, 3, 4 different SPSS statistics, or rather charts, converged them into one. We labeled each of our groups, then we labeled each of the categories for which we're going for our groups, and then on top of that we've added a variable to the y-axis and we've changed the range of our variable. And overall that looks pretty fancy, and the next thing that I would do if I were putting it into a chart or rather for a presentation, I'd go ahead and grab a screencast, and you can tell that I've got something selected in there that I shouldn't, so I'd have to redo this, but there we go. That could be my screencast. I'd have to redo it to get rid of this mess, but certainly that looks better than what I would have in the original SPSS. So that, my friends, is how you take frequency data, making sure that we originally created frequencies with percentages, and we put them into a single aesthetically pleasing chart. One thing that I could have added that I didn't, if you wanted to change the colors of these, again, that's just simply a matter of grabbing them and changing the colors up there. But that's how we do a chart, and again, in any formal presentation that you're doing, much better to take the time to create a nice chart in Excel or PowerPoint than it is to give those ugly SPSS charts. Have a great day, and let's get back to whatever statistics work we're supposed to be doing when we're not working in Excel.